All right, good evening, protectors, and welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. Greg LeBoeuf here, got Coach Dustin, Coach Brad with me. Tonight's going to be a fun conversation because tonight we're going to talk about my controversial solution to road rage. And we're going to see if you guys agree, disagree, back in 30 seconds. Hey everybody, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Greg LeBoeuf, and I'm sharing insights for how I went from the victim of a brutal attempted murder to weaponizing my mind and body, mastering the tool of violence so that I can protect myself and my family from violent criminal assault, and how for the past 30 years I've been helping good people just like you do the same. Welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. All right, we're back. Okay. I want to share my controversial solution to road rage, and how this came up actually is I got a story of something that happened the other day. And it's absolutely connected to road rage, but there's kind of two different. There's a few things I would like to set up before I jump fully into the story. So let me just kind of jump right in and share something with you guys, and just get your visceral response to this. But why I say I want to share talk about my controversial solution to road rage is because at the end of it, there's a lot of factors. We're gonna unpack all this, but if we find ourselves in a road rage situation and we cannot remove ourselves from that in terms of our vehicle gets blocked in, you're in traffic, you're blocked in by other cars, dead end, whatever it happens to be, but there you are, there's a threat in another vehicle, they have got you trapped, quote unquote. Get in or get out or stay in. And that's kind of where the first part is. Do you get out of the car or do you stay in the car? And that's kind of where the controversy starts. So I'm get the fuck out. You get out of the car. Dustin, where you go? I already see your
100%. I'm out.
100% get out of the car. Brad, we lost your audio for a sec.
Sorry, I muted. It was loud in my house. Out of the car.
Okay, sorry. Say it again.
Out of the car. Get out of the car.
Okay, now, before everybody has a freak out, right, because everybody that's listening to this is answering that question for themselves. Now listen, we say this all the time. The context determines the content. Okay, so the context of the situation is ultimately what is going to determine whether you get out of the car or whether you stay in the vehicle. But what we are talking about is we are blocked in. There is a threat. Okay, there's no way for us to remove ourselves and our vehicle out of that situation in that present moment. So we're kind of defining the context of like, okay, there's the threat. They got you're boxed in. What do we do? For us in that situation, and yes, you would add a few extra details to that to fully make the decision, but we are all get out of the car. And most people, when I've seen them discuss road rage and self-defense for road rage and stuff like that, there is at some point in that conversation a controversy over whether you get out or stay in, and a lot of people, a lot of self-defense experts advocate staying in the vehicle, not getting out, and I disagree with that. Again, we're going to set it up more detailed, but within the right context, and this is why this podcast is important. You have to understand the context. When should you get out of the car, and when should you stay in the car? Okay, so I said that there's a couple different scenarios, and then there's a story that kind of goes with this, but I'll define road rage this way first, right? Road rage is it's violent anger caused by the stress and frustration involved in driving a motor vehicle in difficult conditions. That's what, if you look up road rage and say, what's the definition? That's what you're going to find. Violent anger caused by the stress and frustration involved in driving a motor vehicle in difficult conditions. Well, let's be honest, that definition's a little bit limited because, first off, anger caused by the stress and frustration involved in driving. Well, their anger can be caused by a whole lot of other fucking stressors, right? Problems at home, getting laid off work, money issues. I mean, yes, the driving conditions themselves can contribute to that, but it's not one stressor that gets somebody. It's multiple stressors, and it's when they stack. And then it's not just about the driving the vehicle in difficult conditions. Okay, so it's a little bit limited in its view, but I look at it this way. Look at road rage in terms of first person, meaning when there's a road rage and you are driving the vehicle, so there's another vehicle, something happens. Now that might be something that it's a perceived slight, meaning I'm driving, I signal, I shift lanes, and the person that I changed lanes in front of feels that it was too close. Fuck, look at this guy fucking cutting me off, or didn't want me to get in front of him for whatever reason. I might not have actually cut him off. There might have been more than enough distance as I saw it, right? Perception is unique. Like everyone has their own perception. So there is a perceived or a real incident. Now, maybe I don't see the guy and I do accidentally cut him off. Maybe whatever it is, I turn on a left into oncoming traffic and the guy feels like it was dangerous, it was too close, I shouldn't have gone, I should have waited till he went through. I don't know, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, I'm involved in it. The other driver takes offense to that, and now we have a situation. Okay, so that's kind of first person, and that's what I'm going to talk about first. And then there's second person. And this is a bit unique, but there's road rage, but you're not driving the vehicle, and you're not even a passenger in the vehicle. But a road rage is happening, and you find yourself as a third party to this being brought into the situation. Okay, and as a matter of fact, I'll just share the story real quick because my wife goes to pick up Kalia, our youngest daughter. She picks her up. She's driving, and I get a phone call, and she's a little bit obviously frightened because some guy is now following her. He's road raging. He's following her and my youngest daughter, and she's like, "Well, clearly I'm not driving straight to the house because I don't but they were already close to the neighborhood." So she's like, "Well, I'm not going to drive to the house." Like, she tells me the situation. This is what's happening. So, can you come outside? Like, this guy's following us. Like, what should I do? I don't want to come straight home because I don't want him to know where we live. But at the same time, I don't want to drive further away because you're my closest source for help. So, we established that. So now I want to break that situation down for people because I want to give people some really good strategies and tactics, and I want to share with you how I handled it. Because again, I think what I did and what you guys would have done is very, very different than what most people would do. So maybe because I've set it up, let's just explore this, and then we'll reverse to some other stuff on road rage. But you get the phone call, so you're like, okay, there's a threat following her. She didn't come straight home. That's tip number one. Is that if somebody's following you, and I've heard and had people that have contacted me for training stuff that have had this happen to them. They drive straight home, and when they get home, they drive right into their driveway, and when they go to get out of their car, the person has pulled right in behind them, effectively boxing them in their own driveway, and then that person or persons jump out and they threaten. And there's been cases, they get out, they're armed, they got machetes, they got, they pull out a tire iron, and they're super aggressive, they're super confrontational. And, shit happens. An assault can happen, or just a threat can happen, whatever. And now they know where you live, and if you have small children with you, whatever it is, this shit happens all the time. So Christy was very smart because she's like, well, fuck, I'm not driving straight to the house, so he knows where we live. And of course, she's thinking forward. It's like chess. She's watching where she's driving, anticipating red lights, positioning herself so that she doesn't get caught at a red light, or at least puts herself in the right lane where then hopefully if the light turns red, she can turn right on that red. She's, the way it happened to be, she went around. So she's in our neighborhood, but she went the long way. So she phoned me, made me aware of the situation, and then is, now circling towards the house, but wanted to make sure that I, had the heads up and knew what was going on. So therefore I was prepared. I could intercept a lot of this stuff versus her just driving home, and now I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'd have been in the house going, I have no clue what's going on, and who knows what happens. So that's step number one. She didn't go home. That's what, good advice. People could drive to the police station. They can, if they can think ahead enough, they can just keep it and make a bunch of different turns and keep it so that they don't get pinned in, and see how determined this person is. Like, does he, after several different turns and circles and all that stuff, is he still following you? Is he increasing in rage and anger? Of course. Now the danger in that is that you are trying to look ahead, but all of a sudden you get caught at a traffic light, another car gets in front of you, get boxed in, and now the person's behind you, beside you, and they get out of the vehicle and we're caught. So there is an element of risk to that, but you are trying to mitigate that. Now, I think where this part gets interesting is what my response was to it. So when I heard that, and this is just a Murphy's Law thing, right? This is why you have to train. I was taking a shit when I got the phone call. Okay? That, you know what I mean? Done or not.
Sometimes you just got to come out of the bubble bath.
Sometimes you got to come out of the bubble bath. My point with this, we have a saying, right? Violence doesn't fucking ask. It doesn't need your consent. It doesn't hit you at the most opportune fucking moment. I wasn't out in the garage, like often I am, fucking training. You know what I mean? Like you're warmed up, you're training, you're swinging. You know what I mean? Like no, you're caught in the bathroom. So you say, well, keep driving around for the next 30 seconds while I get some prep work done here. And then you come out of the bathroom. So here's the thing. So I come out of the bathroom, right? You know, of course, first thing you do is I already know the conditions on my front street, and there's a fair amount of ice, not in the side and stuff, but I know exactly because I've run the blueprints, what footwear is going to give me the best traction. Grab this, that, whatever. And I don't know how many people in the vehicle, all this stuff like that. So of course I pick up the tools that I would normally carry on myself. And I pick up a couple extra tools that I may need because there is a known threat happening. And one is a Schomburg, but which if you don't know what that is, we'll talk about another time. But here's the thing I want to get. Most people, I believe, that the typical response to this would have a little bit of that fucking anger. I felt it. But emotions aren't going to do anything at that moment. So instead I went strategic. But most people would feel that and think, what the fuck? This guy's following my wife and my daughter? You fuck that shit. And they would open their door, walk out, and be standing in their front driveway. And they would have probably ran upstairs, threw on their little brother's or their son's t-shirt, and so that the muscles looked extra big and stuff, But now they're standing there. Now, let's move the scenario forward. She comes home, she parks in the driveway, he's following her. But of course, what does he see? Well, he sees a man standing in the driveway who clearly is like agitated, pissed off. How long does it take him to connect the dots that that's her husband and that potentially she phoned ahead and this guy knows? So now, maybe that threat, maybe the presence of a man, of somebody, it depends. Maybe that guy's 5'6" and he sees somebody 6'4" and 250 pounds standing on the driveway and goes, well, I'm not going to stop and talk to that guy. Or maybe there's four of them in the car and they got fucking guns and knives and everything else. You have no fucking idea, do you? So that's what I think most people would do, which would potentially, I believe, put me at a very strategic disadvantage. So as I'm talking to my wife, I was talking to Christy, I take what I need, what I feel like, I prepare for the worst. So I'm like, okay, this could go tactical. This guy could have a gun. This guy could have a knife. This guy could have just jump out of a tire, and there could be 2-3 guys, whatever it is. So I go out, but I go out, shut the door, and she's not there yet, right? I'm talking to the phone, and I go across the street and I walk down 30 feet by our mailboxes. And I'm standing there as if I'm doing what? Getting the mail. Now, why would I do this?
So he doesn't know that you're related to her in any way.
Exactly. Now, why would I do that? What strategy is that, first off?
It gives you kind of like
or Trojan horse, I guess. Depends how you want to wrap it.
Yeah. It's a Trojan horse. I don't want him knowing that I'm connected. This guy is making his decisions. I'm not gonna like if he's just gonna drive by and give her the finger, like it ain't ideal because again he could drive by going, I know where you fucking live, I've seen it now, fuck you bitch, I'll come back tonight and slash your tires or something. But the point is, I'm not gonna come out there and stand on the driveway and let this guy or guys size up all of oh fuck, now their shields go up. Right now we've lost the element of surprise because I forfeited that to them. I just gave it to them. If this guy, I don't care what the reasons are. I don't care if she did cut him off, and she didn't. She says there was tons of room. I don't care what the fucking reason is. This guy is making bad fucking decisions, and so at that point I'm like, okay, come home, just come home. park, get out, and go into the house. And obviously take Kalia. Your job is to get Kalia into the house. Don't stand there. Don't look back at him. Don't do any of that shit. Just get out and get into the house. And as you do that, I'm across at the mailbox. He has zero fucking idea that I'm connected to her. So that's my Trojan horse. We already have, I have the element of surprise. So even if there's two of them, even if he gets out and he's got a weapon or whatever, I have the element of surprise. Police aren't fucking making it in time. And of course, the other part of the communication is when she gets in the house, if he stops, dial 911. You're dialing 911 to get police on the way and to get medical on the way. If he has a gun and I'm not just going to let him shoot at my fucking house, so I'm going to engage him. I have the element of surprise, but if I get injured in that, I would like to know that not only is backup potentially on the way or backup's on the way, but also medical's on the way. If I have to injure him to preserve the life of my family, then again, have medical on the way, have police on the way, right? Because you're running off the fact that if this goes tactical, I'm ready, okay? So as she drives in, if he stops and gets out, then I have that Trojan horse. I can be walking. He might get out. Fuck you, bitch. You fuck this, whatever it is. I can choose my timing. As to him getting out, and how would I read? The second he gets out and goes, you fucking bitch, you cut me off, would I engage him physically? No. Would I say something to him? It all depends on what I'm seeing on the pre-incident indicators, meaning his body language, his behavior, and his communication patterns. I will measure his level of violence and aggression. Does this person have the intent to harm? He's clearly got the intent to be a fucking dick. He followed a woman and a small child home. He's now standing outside yelling at them. But is he 1 foot out of the car, head over, you fucking blah, 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 and the body language here tells me he's about to drive away? Or does he get out and the body language, his behavior, and his communication tells me this guy's like, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, and this guy's like not in the forebrain is shut down. He's in midbrain. He's not rationalized. He's not thinking. He's not worried about consequences. He is just expressing rage and anger, and he has the intent. Now, he might not have conscious intent to hurt her, but he's got the intent to be like, I will fucking be heard. You get what I mean? And so that intent there is very dangerous, and I can read that situation. And then I have the options, right? I have the option and the element of surprise to be able to tactically, first strategically, then tactically work this problem, solve this problem. And again, you think, well, okay, that makes even more sense if 2 guys got out of the car or 3 guys got out of the car. Because if 3 guys got out of the car and the body language, behavior, the communication all showed intent, all showed it was reasonable for me to believe that my family was facing imminent grievous bodily harm or death, with the element of surprise, you can relay a tremendous amount of fucking destruction on people who have no fucking idea what's about to happen. You know what I mean? And that is kind of the part of that story that I wanted to share, because had I, again, just run the 2 scenarios in your head. If I standing on the driveway flexing muscle, trying to be like, motherfucker, you doing this, anger is driving, there's no strategy, there's no tactical advantage to that. I'm standing there saying, if you fucking want to fight, fight me. You're fighting the man. And then 3-4 guys roll up, or a guy gets up, pulls his gun and goes, yeah, fuck you, and shoots you 3 times. And then fucking shoots at your family and maybe kills them and hits them. It's like, but people don't think that through because of the emotions of a situation. So that is absolutely a road rage situation that happens. And clearly it happens often. It just happened yesterday. Now, as it turns out, as she was circling through the neighborhood and I said, I'm ready, I'm in position, on the final turn, he turned off and went down a different road. And so the last 50 feet from our house, he looped around and went a different way and stopped following her. Which, I'm a big believer in this, right? When you're doing things with intent, there's an energy to that. And his messenger of intuition I guarantee that, our human beings are very good at sensing danger. And if all of a sudden just the feeling, like, you know what I mean? You ever walk into an ambush? There's a feeling. And if you listen to that, oftentimes it'll save you. And in that situation, I personally believe that because of how tactical and strategic our response was, there was a feeling. Because he was following her through every turn for 3-4 minutes until right to the point. What's that?
His intuition may even have picked up on, her body language and behavior in the car.
Yep.
Because when he first starts following her, right, she's gonna have certain behaviors, body language happening in that vehicle. As she talks to you more and more and more, the plan starts to develop. She starts to understand how you guys are gonna handle it tactically, strategically. She's gonna start to get a sense of relief, a sense of confidence, a sense of safety, all of these things. Yeah. Some of that is gonna come out in her body language, her behavior. Yeah. He probably saw her on the phone. Do you know what I mean? So, okay, she called someone. She's obviously getting close to her house. What does that potentially mean for me?
Yep.
So whether he consciously or not picked 100%. Up on it, like you're saying, yep. His intuition picks up on all those little cues, and he's like, yeah, time to eject.
Yeah, 100, and it's 100% true. Brad, go ahead.
One of the things that kind of just popped in my mind is another thing that could have been picked up, and now I don't know this detail, but if she drove kind of through the neighborhood and passed the same place twice or something, whereas like, no, something doesn't feel right because now you're bringing me here, you're buying time, which we know that because that was part of the plan. But it's like, it's like we've already driven by this part of the street, and she's not going to where she's,
you guys are both right on it, right? Like clearly her driving behavior would have changed. Like again, think what's body language in person. We all get that, right? Well, what's body language when someone's in a car? Like literally you can look into the car and you can see through posture, just the silhouetting, you can see their body language. But body language is also distributed and behavior through driving behavior.
Yeah.
Like that's body language, how you're moving the car.
Depending how close he's following, I'm assuming fairly close, because he doesn't want to lose her if he's trying to intimidate her.
Yep.
In daylight, you can tell when someone's looking in their side mirror. Like you can sometimes see their face in their mirror. Or you see their head look up to the rearview mirror.
Yep.
If she's doing that tons, and then again, as all the confidence, everything starts to come into play, she's less concerned. What's he doing? Is he still there? So now she's looking less.
Yeah.
So like a sense of calm. He would see that sense of calm come over her, either consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to notice it in the car. Every turn is purposeful. Like Brad's saying about, why are we looping this way? Like she's not panicked. She's not she's not trying to lose me. She's seeing if I'm following her. And now that clearly she's made this turn, I made this turn. Well, she's not trying to see if I'm following it anymore. Now, like you say, on the phone, whatever. But that car, how slow you go, how you're angling, how you're positioning the car in the road. Like in the middle, to the side, to this, because that way makes it harder for him to pass you. Even though there's other parked cars, like you're using choke points with your vehicle. Like there's so many different tactical ways to drive the vehicle that when those things start to come out, whether the person has a conscious awareness or not, they are feeling that because all human beings have that survival mechanism, the messenger of intuition. It doesn't just work for good people. It works for bad people too. And so this guy in that moment had to be, he was. And I personally believe that is exactly why he turned off because he was feeling, he might have been feeling pissed off and angry and feeling like, fuck this bitch. Like I'm following her. Like what the fuck is she going to do to all of a sudden, you know what I mean? What the fuck is this bitch doing? And maybe all of a sudden at that point, it's like, nah, something don't, fuck it. And I'm guaranteed he probably never, he would, when he turned away, he would have rationalized in his head, she's fucking lucky. Fucking bitch is lucky. Lucky I didn't do this because that's denial, rationalization, justification, minimization, excuse making, or flat out refusal to accept what the fuck's happening. So whatever it is turned him away. She came home, dropped, parked. And when she parked, here's the other part. When she parked, we didn't stand in the middle of the street talking about it. You think, he didn't follow, he turned off. So right away you think, what would I do? Come over to talk to her. She'd get out, we'd talk and stand in the driveway. No, she gets out, goes in the house. What do?
Wait.
Sit and fucking wait.
Check the mail.
Yeah, why would I wait? Because I want to see what the fuck he's doing.
Might be turning around and coming.
Maybe he turned off just thinking, I want this bitch to go home, stop driving around. So maybe he tried to turn off and then he kind of double back, park, and go, I'm just going to watch where they park the fucking car. So I'm watching for his vehicle. I can communicate with her on the phone and be like, what kind of car was it? What's that?
He could have parked. He might have parked. He could have parked down the street. Go turn one more corner, park, and walk back.
100%.
Maybe he wants to be back on foot for whatever reason, right?
Exactly. Again, damage. Come by the car, slash the tires, fucking scratch it up, do whatever. The point that we're getting at here is, why I really wanted to share this too is because we're always talking about in violence. Most self-defense training, they're teaching you how to fight the man. And if all I had was self-defense training, if all I had was conventional combat sport training, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 10th Dan in karate and kickboxing, world champion in titles, you would have fucking stood on the end of the garage and been like, fuck you, scare my family, threaten my family. I'll show you why I train. I train in case dickheads like you try to pull shit like this. And so what are you going to do? You got something to say? Say it to me, motherfucker. And that's great, right? Really great. Till the guy gets out with a fucking knife or 4 guys pile out of the car, the guy's got a fucking gun. They don't give a fuck. You're not going to kickbox a bullet. You know what I mean? You're not going to jiu-jitsu 4 fucking guys that just want to boot fuck you into the grave. Like, it's not going to happen. So you have to destroy their objectives. So anytime something actually happens in the real world that involves us directly or involves us indirectly, but we go, fuck, innocent people, whether it's your family, somebody's got to do something. The fucking police ain't here. You have to destroy their objectives. So in this situation, my mind wasn't racing trying to think, who is this guy? What does he want? Well, fuck it. I better go out there and find out what the fuck he wants. You get me? I'm not going out there to fight him. Right away, I already knew what his fucking objective was. Well, he's either following her clearly he's trying to intimidate her. He's trying to put fear into her. He's fucking angry and he's pissed off. Some sense of moral superiority. Somebody has wronged this guy. But that might not be all it is. I don't know what this guy's going through. I don't know if this guy just got laid off or his fucking wife left him or he's fucking coming down off drugs or whatever, or he's fucking just scored drugs or he's drunk or I have no fucking idea. And I don't give a fuck. He's making decisions. His objective will be either to follow her and when she parks or whatever, he will try to intimidate her and then he'll drive off. Or he'll fucking stop and get out and try to yell at her. Or he'll stop, get out, and yell at her and fucking approach her. Or he'll stop, get out, yell at her, try to grab her, try to kick on the front fucking door, try to get through the house, whatever the fuck it is. His objective's to intimidate. He is focused on that. And I'm going to fuck up his objective because as he's focused on her thinking I'm going to intimidate, his shields aren't up. He's not worried about her. But he ain't fucking clocking his 6. He's not thinking, fuck, you motherfuckers is organized. Like, this is not a typical response. This is asymmetrical. And it's like, what's that?
You don't plan like this.
You don't plan this.
You're supposed to get scared and drive past.
You're scared, drive by. You get out and you yell back at me, bitch. And then I fuck you up and I show you why you can't yell at me. You get your man outside. What's your man gonna do? I'll fuck him up. That's why I carry my gun or my knife or whatever. Because that's what people fucking do. But that's not what weaponized people fucking do. You're following my wife and my youngest daughter. You evil thinking motherfucker. And what's you think evil, my plan's doom on you. I got a fucking plan. And my plan's asymmetrical. My plan is it's outlier shit. My plan is I have no intention of fucking fighting you. No intention of fighting you. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna measure it. If the threat is real, if I perceive the threat to be of imminent grievous bodily harm or death, you have intent to damage or injure, fuck you. Doom on you. And that's why we plan that way. Fucking Trojan horse. You're never gonna see it coming. Trojan fucking horse. Then flashbang, smash and grab, avalanche, do what you gotta do, relay injury. Police are already en route, communications up to ambulance en route. But I'll do what I need to do to incapacitate the threat. It ain't fucking personal. The second you're no longer a threat to myself and my family, I'm out. I don't need to fight you. I don't hate you. I'm not angry at you. Not worried about any of that shit. I'm just going to deal with the threat that you are bringing into my fucking world. You're making choices. So I'm making choices. But my choices are strategic. My choices are tactical. My choices are purposeful, and they will be done with 1,000% intent to protect myself and my family and make sure at the end of the day, I'm still alive. And as far as you take that, how bad a decision you're going to make, right? It's always awareness first, avert second. Anything we could do to avert it. That's why he just drives by, averted. If he got out and he's being a dickhead and he's being rude and he's being inappropriate, but you can tell through his body language and behavior that he's not a high-level threat. It's not imminent grievous bodily harm or death. He's being a fucking dickhead. Then that would have opened up opportunities for me to approach and use tactical communication, use behavioral redirects, all the different things to de-escalate that situation and have him move along his merry fucking way. I could have been videotaping him and got all his license plate down and got his description and relayed that to the police after. There are so many things that you can do that come be like aware, avert, but when you see that avert is not what is going to work, then it's fucking attack. And a lot of people are like, attack? Don't you mean defend? No, I mean fucking attack. The guy's got imminent grievous bodily harm and death. The guy's a high-level threat to my family. There's no time to defend. It's time to fucking attack. Because if I have to defend and he's bigger, stronger, and I'm outgunned, outmanned, and he has the weapons and he has all that shit, superior force, if I try to defend, I'm dead. And when I'm dead, there's a fucking little bit of a door between him and the rest of my family. Man, fuck that shit. You came to my neighborhood. I didn't follow you to yours. So that is again one part that I wanted to talk about tonight for the road rage side of it, because that's like I'm like third party to this. It didn't happen to me specifically. And I'll just real quick on it. Again, how did Christy know to do what she's done? Because of training. How hard is that training? If something happens and in a road rage situation, you try to keep the vehicle moving. Forget where the fuck you're going. You're supposed to take a left turn here, but you see all these oncoming traffic and you're probably going to get stuck at the light, but you can make a right turn and keep moving. You fucking make the right turn and you keep moving. Where's the closest police department? Moving into a situation where there's lots of people or whatever it is, but you keep the vehicle moving. She not only kept the vehicle moving, didn't come straight home first, and then opened up communication. See, you could have called the police and stuff like that. Police aren't, the chance of the police responding and finding where you're at in time is very slim. So she called me way quicker, way closer, and she knew that I would know what to do. But she initiated that plan. She strategically initiated the first part of her own survival, which is what you want them to be, what you want any of us to be able to do. And then she built a kill chain and then was able to have backup, same way police would call for backup. She was able to call for backup, and we were able to then further the kill chain, develop the plan, and go from there. And it worked out. It worked out as in the best possible way. He fucked off. No confrontation, no conflict, no nothing. Right, which is what we wanted. Okay. Anyway, so that's the first one. So now we've hit on a lot of things in that, but let's break down strategically in a road rage. Okay. Let's create the context here, because we all voted. I get out of my vehicle. Dustin gets out of his vehicle. Brad gets out of his vehicle. Let's set the context up. Let's do a couple things here. First, you're driving down the street, something happens. It doesn't make a difference what it is. The person takes offense to it, so now this person's fucking pissed off. They're giving you the finger, they're tailgating you, they're trying to get beside you, they're fucking yelling obscenities, they're doing the whole thing. Maybe they, whatever it is, they try to speed up, get in front of you, slamming on the brakes, all this shit. What are some of the first things that we are doing while you are in your car, the incident happens? What are some of the first things you're doing? Just in no particular order. You can throw out whatever comes to mind. But the vehicles are still moving at this point. Okay, so what's some of the first things that we're doing?
Preparing to get out.
Yeah. My first thought.
Okay,
being ready, or possibly even removing your seatbelt. Whether you take it off or be very ready to take it off, depending on
where the escalation level. Okay, so they're talking about being prepared to exit the vehicle. Okay, so let's put a pin in that for half a sec, because we're going to actually break down the steps of how we tactically do that, how we train that. Okay, so they're preparing to get out of the vehicle. Now, what's great about what they just said is their brain already is going, okay, great. We're not stopped right now. He's obviously agitated. We're driving. Maybe there is no, it's not an imminent, foreseeable, blockade, like stop point. Okay, so you're not like, oh fuck, there's a light that'll probably turn red. There's all this traffic in front of me. I'm gonna get boxed in the next fucking 6 seconds here. So there's nothing foreseeable right now. The vehicles are going, but they are still going if something should change, something should mutate, and it becomes very clear that these vehicles are going to be brought to a stop. I'm going to be a forced stop. They are already mentally prepared to exit the vehicle. Okay, so that's the first break. Now, you're driving still. Sorry, Brad, did you want to jump something on that?
Yeah, just you have time in that moment, right? Like if the vehicles are still moving and you haven't been blockaded in any way and traffic is still flowing and stuff, you have time. So it's like, why wait? Because till you don't have any more time.
Well, yeah, you got to mentally prepare for the mutation. What's the worst thing that can happen? Vehicles get stopped. They get the fuck out. And now I'm sitting there going, So you're mentally preparing for the worst, one of the worst things that can happen is you get blockaded in. Okay? When you're driving, sorry, Dustin, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's also a time, because you are still moving, it's also the time where it's like, okay, well, who else is in the car? And if there is someone else in the car, this is now the time to let them know what their role is going to be if and when you get out of the vehicle.
Okay.
You know, if I'm with my wife, I'm telling her, jumping ahead.
Okay, pause.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you guys on what we do when we were driving. You guys keep coming to when the vehicle gets stopped. But the reason you're doing that is because that's the first prep you need to have. You're 100% right. You are prepared if the vehicles, because that's the worst thing. If these vehicles get stopped when I don't want them to be stopped, the reason they're stopping you is because they're probably going to get the fuck out of the vehicle. They could have guns, they could have knives, they could all kinds of shit. So you guys are both like, I'm fucking ready to get out of this vehicle. If I have somebody with me, a spouse, and there are kids in the back, what are their roles? If I'm going to exit this vehicle, what are their roles? Like there's a primary and a secondary role, okay? Put a pin in that. You're driving and the vehicles are still driving, okay? What are we doing in those moments as we're driving after we are prepped to get out? We're now prepared for the stoppage. What are we doing when we're driving?
So you got to be driving tactically. So things like you definitely do not want to be tailgating the person in front of you.
Yes.
Right? Not this person's not involved.
Yep.
Do not tailgate that person.
Yep.
You need to leave space for you to be evasive should they suddenly stop or anything like that. You want to be able to get around that car.
100%. Okay. So I'm just, you guys are nailing it. I'm just going to paraphrase it so that people are hearing it twice. General traffic, not involved. Do not, even though the guy's behind you trying to tailgate you, maybe you're like, fuck, this guy's going to ram me, or he's trying to get beside you. Manage the distance around you. Do not drive your car to the bumper of the vehicle in front of you because you are leaving yourself less room to maneuver your car. And so this is what Dustin's saying about being tactical with your car. Leave yourself some space so that you can potentially like go around that guy. Like even if there was other cars in front that started to slow down or a light that, what did turn yellow, if you have enough space between you and the vehicles in front of you, assuming the road rage guy is behind or beside you, you can move around that car. You might have to go up on the curb, right? You might have to go through some like trees, whatever the fuck you got to do to keep that vehicle moving. Obviously, you're also clocking where everybody else is. We're not talking about randomly flying up on a fucking curb and there's women in strollers there and babies in strollers and women pushing, you know what I mean? Like and fucking driving through.
You have to be prepared to safely break traffic laws.
Yes, 100%. Safely break traffic laws. Okay? Now, so he's tactical driving. Don't get too close to the person. What else might we be doing while we're on the road navigating the roads?
You're going to be looking for potential choke point type situations that you could get caught in. You know what I mean? Like you're coming up to an intersection and if there's a right turning lane, let's say, if there's two people in that sitting there trying to go right, but they can't because the other, the crossing traffic is stopping them.
Yeah.
You need to be aware of that. Don't put yourself right behind them because now you're stuck behind them. Again, this is where safely breaking traffic laws comes into play. Maybe you can get up on the curb, the meridian, and get around them. Or maybe you end up in the far left lane and go a completely different way, like you kind of alluded to earlier. Yep. But you have to have that foresight. You got to be looking down the road to see, okay, what potential things are going to hang me up and how can I avoid those before it happens or before it's too late.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Brad, you had one. You were going to jump in. You're muted again, buddy.
Sorry, people are jumping around.
There's a road rage going on upstairs.
There's a road rage going on upstairs. Yeah.
Sounds like it. Anyway.
There's a 4-year-old road rage happening.
One of the things that I just said, you couldn't hear me, but Dustin pretty much covered one of the things that I was thinking about. But, even determining where you're going to go, right? Like we said, where's the police station? Are you in an area that's familiar? Are you in an area that's unfamiliar? Is this something like obviously kind of formulating some sort of strategy? Because, yeah, we all say we're all going to get out of the car. We didn't say that was the first thing we're going to do, right? So it's well, is the police station down the street, and you know that it is. So it's well, let's make our way to there. Do you know what I mean? So it's those types of things that we need to be planning for, is having some sort of direction, somewhere where you could go, even a fire station, right? Yeah. Fire station, I think, is a great alternative to a police station, because they are kind of like a authority figure, right? Now they don't have the firepower, but it's just one of those things that it's still a good alternative, right? So finding those, where am I going? Am I just going to drive in circles, or am I actually going to try and get to it somewhere of aid or whatever?
100%. And hospitals too. Hospitals are another great one and stuff like that. And again, just to paraphrase, where are you going may not fucking matter anymore. You're dealing with a situation, a threat. So be open to changing your destination. And the other thing that Brad said, he already said this, I'm just echoing it, is the most direct route to get there might not be the best route.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to, if someone's fucking road raging me and I'm I know there's a police station right over here, but to get to that police station, there's a light that I got to turn left at that I always get stuck there. There's I can see there's 4 cars ahead of me. I'm going to get stuck. And this guy's going to be able to pull up right beside me, right behind me. Then I might want to take a right and go back and go this. So the direct route might not be the best route. Okay. So you always have to mitigate between what's the fastest way to get where I, to find safety and help and all that stuff. And what keeps me moving and keeps me out of the choke points and allows me to manage distance best. And yes, there is an element of risk. You say, well, I went this way to go this way, and then all of a sudden, fuck, I didn't know there was construction there or this was there. And that's, like you said, again, we may have to safely break traffic laws. And construction often means, depending on the time of day, there's construction workers there. Well, that is also a place where you got people outside vehicles, they're working, often men, and that could be help for you depending on the situation, right? So again, manage the distance. Where are you going? Drive tactically, where are you going? The direct route might not be the best route, and you want to keep the vehicle moving, but you definitely want to set where am I going? Where can I get safety? Police station. And just to tie it in, because if you're driving alone, hey Siri, you kind of occupied, you can use Siri, closest police station. If you have somebody else in the vehicle with you, they can obviously be looking up closest police station. And of course, 911, you could call it, they could call it. And I recommend that, report the situation, what is happening, because you're also documenting. I want nothing to do with this. It doesn't matter what it started over. Don't worry about the details. You might have cut them off and people are panicking. Oh, I cut them off, but I didn't mean to. And now this guy's following me. And don't get all mad. Fucking guy, motherfucker. Follow me. Fuck you. You're not making clear tactical decisions. So calling 911 is often, I use this strategy, I've used this before. Then 911 is recording everything. I don't even have to be talking to 911. I can call 911 and then I might be talking to people that are the potential threat to me, and my phone is just open. A, they know my location, and B, they're hearing what's happening, and they're hearing me not wanting, A, not agreeing to a fucking fight, and B, they hear me trying to avert through de-escalation tactics, and they hear what's going on. So the whole thing is being documented, which then helps my legal defense should that become necessary after. So communication, often in missions and tactical situations, communication is massively important. Plus, again, nice to know, backups on the way, and also medical's on the way should we need it. And so all of those things are part of this, right? Now, what else when we're driving? and one of you kind of alluded to this, and it would have come. Well, let's just hit it. When you're driving, part of driving tactically is to be doing a deeper, more detailed threat assessment. As you're driving tactically, watching the positioning of your vehicle, looking for choke points and dead ends, figuring out your destination or where you want to go, safely breaking traffic laws when necessary. All of these different things are happening at the same time. You are using sensory faculties like your fucking eyes to look at their vehicle. And what are you looking for when you're looking at their vehicle?
How many people are?
Okay, Dustin, you threw one out. How many people are in that vehicle? Now, if it's late at night and the headlights are blaring and you can't see, you're trying to see if at a time when you drive under a certain street light or you turn a corner, that's one thing. I might turn a corner and I'm looking because I know the light's going to reflect differently. Their headlights won't be in my rear view mirror or whatever, and I'm going to get a different silhouette. And I'm going to say, okay, now I know there's 3 guys, 2 guys, 4 guys. Okay, so Dustin, like looking for how many people are in the vehicle. Brad, you were going to throw something in there?
I said passengers. So
okay.
Same thing you guys just
Okay,
said.
so now when you're looking at the passengers, again, how clearly you see them, it's going to be situational. But when you look, you're looking for the number of them, like how many are there? What else are you looking at when you're looking at them?
Body language and behavior.
Sorry, what was that?
Body language and behavior.
Okay.
People in the car.
So what do you mean by their body language by the people in the car?
Well, just how frantic do they look? Like it's, you're trying to judge the level of escalation, which it's harder, but there's going to be cues. You're still going to get an idea. If this person's, waving their hands and freaking out, like that they're higher escalation than just calmly following you, right?
Yeah. What else?
You
What
know
else
what?
might you see?
You see them. Here's the thing. I've seen a lot of people in my rearview mirror. They're looking down at their phones, right?
Yep.
And in this passenger mirror, side view mirror, you can see that stuff. So if it is that type of environment where we do have the luxury of seeing those things, we can see if people are looking down, if they're trying to dig through some shit. Maybe they're trying to, get a weapon ready, or maybe you could see it or whatever. But it's like you're able to see people are, they're not just sitting there taking it all in. They're not frantic. They could be preparing as well, right?
You are watching, not only are you trying to get a sense of how many people, you are watching their body. Like again, is the driver's pissed off? But is it the driver's just pissed off or are the passengers equally pissed off? Is it a husband and a wife? Is there kids in their vehicle? You're getting assessment. Is this potentially 1 attacker or is this 2 attackers or 3 attackers or 4 attackers? What Brad was talking about is the passenger rooting through glove box? Is the passenger reaching down under the seat? Is the passenger leaning back like he's pulling something out of his waistband? And if people think like, if they question at all the ability to see this through your rear view mirror, your side mirrors, or just through looking over or glancing, whatever, you can absolutely see this stuff. It is not hard to see. Guys pull up beside you and the one guy driver's fuck you, fuck this, and the passenger is underneath the seat. And you're like, what the, all of these things would say it's reasonable to assume that this guy is reaching for something. And it's probably not a candy bar.
We also know that most people most people by default will posture.
Yeah.
So they might be waving a weapon around as part of their posturing, trying to intimidate, trying to threaten. Yeah. So they might disclose that they have a weapon.
100%.
So you might easily see it because they might be waving it around.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's a bluff, guy pulling up, like pointing his finger at you, like I'm going to fucking shoot you or whatever the stuff, I'll kill you and all that stuff. 100%. You're watching for all of this stuff. And again, because we're building an assessment plan. We're saying, okay, how many potential attackers then? Is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 4? Now, it could mutate. We could be wrong. But at least we're getting a baseline of the intent and capability. What am I facing here? Okay. The other thing that when you're looking at the vehicle, I want to know how many doors the vehicle has. Is it a 2 doors or 4 door? You got 4 people in the vehicle, but it's a 2 door. Meaning that the guys in the back are going to have to, now most vehicles nowadays, SUVs, things like that, but how easily and how quickly can they egress out of that vehicle? That's all, like, who's more, like, I saw the guy on the passenger side, he's the guy who looked like he's rooting for the weapon. He's fucking jacked up too. The driver's yelling more and all this stuff. But it's like, you can see the driver's hands flying. It's like, well, he didn't at least grab a weapon. And if we do get boxed in and I do have to get out, am I going driver's side or am I going passenger side? Well, who do I think is the higher threat? Do I think the passenger's the guy that pulled the weapon? Well, then I want to probably make my way to that side as rapidly as I can.
Yeah.
right?
You can
Because I'm assuming he has the weapon.
you can also look for the upper part of the seatbelt.
Yep. Yep.
There's
Yeah.
are they wearing their seatbelts? Have they removed their seatbelts?
Yep.
Because that's a pretty good indicator they're planning to get out of that car if the seatbelts are off.
Now, here's the other thing too. 100%. You're looking how many doors. You're looking at so how fast can they egress. You're looking at their seatbelts. Are they still buckled? Did they take their seatbelts off? And if they did take their seatbelts off and things escalated enough, it also lets you know that if you ram them or slam on the brakes and they hit you and they've taken their seatbelts off, that's another way to potentially relay some injury. It'll deploy their airbags. If their airbags deploy, it makes it tougher to drive the vehicle. The airbag could do damage to them. Again, these are all things that we've blueprinted out. These are all things that we've thought of, right?
As you mentioned that, slamming your brakes on so that they end up hitting you. That's one thing I had thought of earlier and hadn't had a chance to say it yet, but like you can't put your life at risk to protect your car.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So a decision like that would be probably hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
To be like, well, I'm not going to slam my brakes and let them hit me. Yeah. It's like, well, you might have to.
Yeah.
And it might be the smartest thing you ever did.
Yeah.
So just, I think, having the foresight for people to be like, yeah, okay, good point. I should be willing to sacrifice my car because it could mean my life. Right?
Yeah, 100%. Your vehicle is become a tool. And now that tool, obviously, that means that we can use it as a shield to a degree, right? But we can, like, when you slam on the brakes, to me, it's a bit of a shield move. Like you're using the car to inflict damage to their vehicle in hopes of incapacity. Now, not out of anger, not out of emotional response. Strategically and tactically at the right time, you could use it to potentially, hopefully, slow them or disable their vehicle, allowing you to make egress because the situation is at that level. And we're reading it. Remember, you got to understand the signals of violence. So that's a huge part of this, okay? And we're kind of in this conversation assuming that that training has been done and you understand how to read the different levels of violence so you know when you are legally and morally justified to do the tactical, strategical moves that we're talking about. So, and just to keep one step further, like Dustin's saying, you again, sacrifice the vehicle. If you got to jump over a curb, now you don't want to incapacitate your own vehicle, but again, understanding that bumps and scrapes and dents, that's why you have insurance. It's just a vehicle. You're using that vehicle to transport you out of harm's way. Okay, so that's where the vehicle has all its power. When the vehicle is stopped, blocked, okay, then the vehicle loses the majority of its capacity. Now people say, well, yeah, we stop and that guy gets out, then you go again and you run him over. Yeah, maybe the situation, the context of the situation warrants it, and absolutely you would need to do that, especially multiple opponents, weapons, whatever, 100%. But even take that off, once the vehicle stops, it loses. What good is it? And this is where I wanted to clarify, because if now, like as we're driving, we're looking at all these different things, but now all of a sudden we are like, fuck, we're coming to us, like I'm gonna get stopped. We're gonna get stuck in traffic. There's a light, there's all these vehicles. I can't jump curbs, I can't get out of here. We're getting boxed in, they're right behind me. I'm looking, their seatbelts are off, all of that shit. And it's like, fuck, this is gonna happen. So now as that starts to become a reality, we'll kind of pick up where we started first. We were prepared for this. So we are preparing ourselves to exit the vehicle. And first, before we talk about how, let's talk about why. Why in the scenario I just described, no egress, guaranteed 100% your vehicle is going to come to a stop. Their vehicle is behind you or beside you, whatever it happens to be. They are coming to, or even in front of you, and everyone's coming to a stop. Their seatbelts are off. They're at you. You can tell these fuckers are coming. Why are you getting out of your vehicle?
It's
Options.
Exactly. It's not tactically sound to stay in your vehicle and be at the mercy and saying, well, hopefully they don't attack me in my vehicle. Hopefully they might hit a window and hit a mirror off, but if they penetrate the glass and break the glass, if they're going to break the glass, they're going to fucking hit you with whatever they broke the glass with.
Yeah.
Right?
The only
they have it in them to do that, and they have it in them to continue on with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you're stuck. You're stuck in a vehicle.
Yeah. Dustin,
the only assault your car is going to save you from is a verbal assault.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can guarantee that that's all it's going to be. and there is zero survivable value in believing that that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, 100%. The car is a car, not a tank. It's not. It's not a panic room, with a 6-foot metal door, and that really just sums it up. The only thing it's going to protect you from is a verbal assault. Now here's the thing. Here's where people will. Here's why I said this is a controversial solution that we have. We get out. Now here's the thing. People say, yeah, but if you get out, you escalate. Brad said it. If that guy gets out of the car and he grabs a tire iron or fucking has whatever, and he's willing to smash your window out, well, if he's got it in him to do that, he's got it in him to then reach through the window and start fucking smashing you out. And here's the thing. You say, well, how do I know? If you wait for him to get out and you go, oh, fuck. It's not a verbal assault. He's got a tire iron. He's smashing my fucking... Now, we don't give a fuck about the car. We're not getting out to go, I don't want him to damage my vehicle. We're getting out because the vehicle is a flimsy shield. You know how easy it is to break glass? Like, it can be difficult, but the side windows on cars, you know how many side windows I've broken out on cars in training and in situations and other like road rage situations? Like, glass, if you understand that it ain't hard, or you have the right tool, it is not hard to shatter fucking glass. And when that glass blows in and you're sitting right at fucking face level and you got your wife and your kids there, what we're saying is that, and here's the other thing. This is an option for us because we train for this. If you don't train for it and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, but then I guess you're at the mercy. You can get out and try and negotiate, or you can stay in the car and hope that it's nothing more than verbal. But either way, you are at their mercy. Because if they get out and all of a sudden you go, oh, fuck, this is not just verbal, try to get out of your vehicle now. Try to get out of it now when the fucking 1, 2, 3, 4 guys are swarming your fucking car, smashing out the window. Not only are they on your side, but they're on the passenger side, they're the backs, and your kids and your wives are right there and glass is blowing out and shattering on them. Or the guy pulls a fucking gun out.
Right? You're trying to get out and they're pushing on the door. So
well, yeah, if you open that door, you're in fucking trouble. They're going to slam that door. Like, who's not going to slam the door back into you? I'll give you some social proof. My brother-in-law, when he was younger, some guy, he was driving to high school. He was really young, driving to high school, was going down the hill. This fucking older guy and his son in the truck, and they again got pissed. They thought he cut him off, and they got to a light. They pulled in front of him. They got to a light, stopped. They got out. They both got out. And he was sitting there like, what the fuck? And they're yelling, walking towards him. And he opened the door to go get out. And he got just his head above, like as you're stepping out the door. And the older guy fucking kicked the door, slammed it, hit him right in the fucking neck. And the other guy pinned it. And the old guy sat there, held him like in his hands, like he was stuck. And the old guy's, I'll fucking kill you, you motherfucker. Of course, he was yelling racial slurs, and all this shit. You motherfucker. And all this, and he was like, and not only that, but he said like his neck was sore, his chest was sore, and he was 100% at their mercy. And he said, well, yeah, but if you stayed in the vehicle, you wouldn't have been there. They'd have broken those glass, reached in, and had him in the same position. And then you're, all that shit, right? So again, you gotta have the training. This is what it is. People want they say, well, I want to be able to do this, but do we have a pill we could take? Can I just pop a pill maybe for a week and then wake up and I'll have the skill sets and I'll have the cure. No, you got to work. You got to fucking train. You either are a protector or you're not a protector. You're either a warrior or you're not a warrior. You know what I mean? And that has nothing to do with physical size and strength. It has to do with making the decision to be like, it's my responsibility to fucking protect myself and my family. So then learn the strategies. Learn the asymmetrical concepts and strategies and tactics. So you need to have that.
Saying that it's controversial to get out of the vehicle is, in the work environment, we had a situation where one of the drivers, one of the truck drivers or whatever, they got cut off and they honked the horn, being like, hey, like, you honked the horn, look at me, like, you saw, you just kind of awareness type of thing. That guy gets fucking pissed off. He gets followed, right? So they follow the employee to there. Employee gets out. The guy attacks him with a tire iron, hits him with a tire iron, and like kind of takes off, right? So we had this big whole corporate thing where they started saying, it's like, oh, no, you can't. For one, you should never honk your horn at people. So putting the fault at the guy for honking his horn again, which is ridiculous. And for two, is like, no, you need to stay in your vehicle. And I heard during the safety briefing, I was like, no, that's false. Like, you're telling that guy hit him with a tire iron. If he was had it in and hit him with the tire iron, he's sure the fuck is gonna break a window and be in the situation exactly what we talked about, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's like he could use a vehicle, move tactically, do all those things. But again, you have to have the awareness and training.
Yeah. Well, training is options,
Well,
right? Training gives you options. So,
I think that's the thing too, is like when you talk about it being controversial to get out of the car. We're getting here anyway, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but it's
go
like
ahead.
getting out of the vehicle doesn't necessarily mean you're going to the man either.
No,
I mean,
100%.
all we ever talk about is fighting the objective. The objective might be get out of the car and fucking run.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Put the vehicle between you and him.
Yeah,
100%.
depends on the context. So it's like,
Yeah.
where do you want to be? Like, you know, options, right? If you get out of that vehicle, you have options.
Yeah. See, here's the thing, and as we're already hitting an hour mark here, we're going to have to start just throwing these out a little bit quicker, but that's 100% right. Like, okay, I'm going to rattle a couple, then you guys can pick up, rattle a couple, and we're going to go through. But now we're slowing down. We're getting to boxed in. Okay, as we're slowing down, as I know this is about to happen, this is about to fucking kick off. Like, I'm getting the fuck out of the vehicle because I want options. My thumb moves to my seatbelt. I'm driving, I'm slowing down. My thumb moves to my seatbelt. As we're getting slower and we're approaching, okay, this is going to happen, I hit the button on my seatbelt. Now the seatbelt comes over just to my left arm, so that I don't move my left, so they can't see that I've unbuckled the seatbelt. Right, then I switch, from my left hand was on the steering wheel because I use my right to unbuckle. My right hand goes and my left hand grabs the belt, but from the inside, so it still looks like it's in position, but my left hand is already clear of the belt I'm holding. So all I have to do is my hand lets go, the belt is off, but they can't see that. Then as we're going slow like that, as it really comes to the slow stop, I don't care now if they can see it, we're about to stop. The belt deploys, and I go for my neutral, and my left hand goes, my hand's off the steering wheel now. We're almost stopped. My right hand goes to the shifter, my left hand goes to the door handle, and my left foot positions at the bottom of the door. And before I actually come to a full stop, I don't use my brake to complete my stop. I slam it into neutral. So you're going to get that couple little gears grinding, no big fucking deal. I slam it into park. I slam it into park. And as I slammed it into park, my left hand was already opened the door, like I forced the door with my left hand, and my left foot braced it so that in the suddenness of the stop, the door doesn't fly open and bounce back and cap you in the fucking face. Right? If you've never done the scenario that we see that a lot. People slam the left door open, they go to jump out, and the door's reverbing back and it smacks them in the fucking mouth. So you slam it into park, your door opens with your left foot, jams it, door comes to a solid stop, and you're out of the vehicle. And now there's a couple different things. Usually, I'll shut the door. I shut my door. It depends on speed. You just go around, you can leave your door open, but the door shuts. And I'm moving around, and I've already determined what side of the vehicle I'm going to. The suddenness of my actions, 9 out of 10 times, I get to their door before they're out. And if it's only one guy, you get to his door. You put him at a massive disadvantage. Now, the way and the angle at which you approach, you're scanning for firearms and what does he have? Always, what is he? Palms. You're looking for the palms of the hands to be able to identify, does he have a weapon? Is he reaching for something? But I can make that move towards him. Now, like Dustin said, let's throw a couple wrenches in and you guys, if you have family in the car, if my wife and my kids are in the car, when I exited the vehicle, I slam that door shut. Okay? My wife then, I'll let Dustin pick up this because you alluded to it, and Brad, you can carry on with it. But I slam the door is shut. As I'm moving towards the threat, I'm responding. I'm putting myself between the threat and my family. You're a threat magnet. I can move off and start and move. I could go towards their vehicle, or I could move off and away their vehicle, almost slightly to the front of their vehicle, because their attention will fixate on me away from my family. And as I'm doing that, what is happening inside of your vehicle? Because Dustin, you went to talk about this before, so you can.
Yeah, she needs to climb over and get in the driver's seat immediately. Yes. And then the word that hit me, she needs to reposition that vehicle.
Yes.
And I say reposition, meaning you don't sit there to wait to see what happens, right?
Yes.
You get that vehicle the hell out of there and to wherever it needs to go.
Yes.
That might be police, fire, like you guys talked about, might be a hospital. Yeah. Maybe it's to get back up. Maybe it's just to get far enough away that they're safe, yet close enough should I need to run to the vehicle it's still there for me into, but again, parked tactically, so she hasn't boxed herself in a way that if I run to it, she's able to immediately egress that vehicle out of there.
Yeah.
Passenger window should be open. So if I need to dive in, I can dive in or dive into the back through the window, whatever, just for a really quick evac if that needs to happen. Yeah. And then once she's repositioned, or at least started to reposition, I would want her on the phone like you alluded to earlier, calling 911, getting police, medics, whatever you need on the way, or at least aware of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Brad, anything to throw in on that?
Yeah, just the one thing that really, for me, is just like getting out of the vehicle and depending on what they do is like the one thing I want to reiterate is like, yeah, like that vehicle, like if someone takes over like a wife or spouse or whatever, they can't just take off, because if this car now follows them, now you're left on the side of the street.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%,
So for sure,
she's
like,
left behind.
Yeah. Hopefully she doesn't leave you behind, right? So
under stress,
again,
like, fuck it,
I got this, honey. See you later.
Depending on how the situation unfolds, exactly. I think the best thing is like reposition that vehicle, and then if it's not tactical at that point, then it's like see where things go.
Yeah.
One thing
go ahead.
Very small but very important depending on the context. One thing I should have said is once she moves over, or even before she moves, the second that door shuts, she should be locking those doors
100%,
too.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And the other thing that we've done too, and like again, there's lots of little details, but you exit the vehicle, you are now an active threat magnet, meaning you can engage if you have to engage. They have shifted over. If the vehicle's blocked, the vehicle's blocked. If she determines that if there's a little bit of a space to move through, but it would require her ramming the other vehicles to push them out of the way to get over a curb, are you willing to do it? Well, yeah. Because if the alternative is loss of life, like you're stuck in a kill box, then you fucking ram the vehicle. I have seen in a road rage that I had to intervene and wasn't directed towards me. The guys that were road raging, that were chasing down a young family, four guys chased them down, and they were ramming they got boxed in, stuck in 9-car deep traffic. And they were ramming the vehicles that were parked in traffic to get at the young family that they were pissed at. And so if you don't, you got to be prepared. And that person, he sat there waiting, instead of he could have squeezed through between two vehicles, but he would have scraped those vehicles, and he didn't do it. Why? Because the moral compass, your social contract says, well, you don't fucking do that. And I don't think it was him worried about his vehicle. I think it was him not wanting to damage other people's vehicle. And just an interesting point, when those bad guys were ramming innocent people's vehicle to get at the other guy, the people in the vehicle would go, what the fuck? They got mad, and this one guy in a truck got so mad till he looked and realized, oh fuck, it's 4 guys in a car that are freaking the fuck out trying to get at those guys. Oh, this is violence? And he turned and looked the other way as if he couldn't tell his vehicle was being rammed multiple times, and it pushed his truck out of the way, and he never turned to look at him again. Nobody got out. 9 vehicles, nobody got out when they pinned him, and these 4 guys jumped out with 2 of them got out, had tire irons, and began smashing the taillights, smashing the trunk, and they were working their way up. And I was 4 lanes of traffic over, had to throw and park, was running through moving traffic to try to get to where they were stuck. And nobody else is doing fucking shit. It's and that family was trapped in a box with the glass was being shattered. They had no defense, no protection, young kids in the back. It's a nightmare scenario. And they had obviously no training for how to handle it and stuff. But so the point is, when you get out, we are that magnet. And where I go off, and the threat will follow. And if I move away and I can draw them away, then that might be just enough time for my wife to, again, get the vehicle out of there. And as the vehicle gets out of there, I can recognize, okay, we're free again. And now, like Dustin said, the back window is down. And now I can do what I do. I can fucking take off running at a full fucking sprint, dive in the back window, she hits the gas, and we're back mobile again. And we survived the kill box. Maybe I have to move around and be that threat magnet until the light turns fucking green, and now everyone starts moving because people are like, oh, what's going on? People start moving, and now she can get the vehicle out, and then I can run and we can egress back into it. Potentially, like Dustin said, I just have to I draw their attention. They start running. Maybe they're shooting, but they're shooting at me. And I'd rather have them shooting at me as I'm running than shooting at my family that's sitting in a fucking fish in a barrel. You know, I can engage them. I can, you know, whatever it is. Like in that thing now situationally, we have to read the situation to determine what the best course of action is. What our goal is to try to share with you why we would get out of the vehicle and why I don't see it as a controversy at all. I see it again like, now if I have high odds of getting that vehicle going again right away, I'm going to do that. But if I can't get that vehicle going, I'm getting the fuck out. Like I said, if I'm by myself, it's really good. I can just fuck off. I can get out of there, right? But
one thing I'll throw in, just like you guys know this, but for people watching who maybe have never thought about this before, you know, and especially if you're alone, but if you're egressing your vehicle in those moments where you're like, okay, I may need to get out. What do I need to prepare? I think it's important for people to realize, like, do you have all the tools on your person that you may need should you egress that vehicle?
Yeah.
You know, like how many people plug their phone into a charger and throw it in a cup holder?
Yeah.
Well, that phone might be your backup call. That might be paramedics.
So should you egress to your wife vehicle, if she had to leave? Yeah.
Yeah, anything. Like she repositions that car. Like you might need that phone. So before shit hits the fan, you want to make sure that you throw that in a pocket if you can.
Yep.
Any other tools that could be also used as a weapon or whatever, is that on your person, not sitting in your car somewhere. You know, I have tourniquets in all my vehicles.
Yep.
You know, just in the glove box car. So you might want to throw that in your pocket because if you get injured or if you have to administer aid to someone else that you had to injure, you at least now have that with you to potentially help yourself or help somebody else. So I think, just making sure those tools are on board before you all of a sudden start egressing from your vehicle.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're probably going to have to wrap this up pretty quick. We could go a lot more, but let's just do a quick summary because, again, my goal with this is to introduce the concept of, do you get out of the vehicle or do you stay in the vehicle? If you have no training, I could paint a bit of a picture that like what Dustin kind of alluded to, where if you get boxed in and like, you know, it's just in a bunch of traffic and these guys, you get out of the vehicle, and if you're by yourself, you can get out of the vehicle and you could fucking take off running and like lock the door, slam the door and fucking go. And most likely they're not going to want to leave their vehicle. You know, I mean, it's hard, right? Because you have to read the body language. You have to read the level of threat in it, because if there's only one of them, they'd probably, fuck you, yeah, you asshole. If you left your door open, they might jump in the car, and if there's two of them, take your car or smash. Who knows what the fuck they're going to do. The point is, it's about saving lives, saving your life, right? Now, if you got your family with you, again, I would be, and I can tell you stories, and I won't go fully into this, but like, road rage happened. It's this guy and his family. This other guy, single guy, one guy in the vehicle. He's freaking the fuck out. He's dressed in a suit, dressed nice, all this shit. Road rage goes on, and they come to that hard stop. They get stuck at traffic lights. The guy can no longer move. The guy that's road raging, fucking three-piece suit, older guy in his like early 50s, late 40s. He gets out, and he's got a tire iron in his hand, and the husband and the family are sitting in the car. And the husband's like, what the fuck, man, yelling at the guy. The guy comes at him with a tire iron, but doesn't go at him. He gets to the front of the vehicle, turns, goes to the passenger door, opens the passenger door, wasn't locked, grabs the guy's wife, pulls her out, and clubs her in the head with the tire iron. Fucking ended up, I can't remember if she lived or not. She was in intensive care in the hospital. I can't remember if she didn't make it or not. He didn't go for the guy. He punished the guy and went for the wife. So if some threat is attacking your wife, breaks even the door's locked, smashes that window, and is attacking your wife or your child in the back, try to defend your wife or child from the fucking front seat of your car. I can do a lot. I have my way high. I might not be successful, but I have way higher odds if I'm out of that fucking vehicle. And again, and I don't have to fight the guy. I know how to attack their objective. I know how to fucking zone and move and use environment and use strategies and all this other shit. You can do a lot of fucking damage, man. You can protect a lot give yourself options. But when you're stuck in that vehicle, and when you get out and your wife doesn't know and she's sitting there in the passenger seat fucking still, like if someone's gonna fall, I'd rather it be me. Like if I go down, but they got the fuck out of there, worthy sacrifice. It's not what I'm training for. It's not what I want to have happen. But and again, those conversations, we're gonna do the couples. We're gonna do the couples one on the podcast, because you have to have some very hard decisions. Your spouse has to be willing to leave you. And it's not just so your spouse survives, but especially when there's children involved. I'm going to, as the primary, engage the threat. As the secondary, primary, you are going to protect those children. You are going to egress. You cannot, again, police officers, when they're out with their wives, especially in the States where they can carry off duty, they have to be willing to remove themselves from you and call for backup, do this. Like there's lots they can do to help, but there's two different roles that have to go on to be effective. Okay, so I don't know. Lots of stuff here, guys. Anything you want to throw in to wrap up our road rage discussion here?
Just real quick, like the story that you just shared, I rest my case.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what other kind of information do you need to see the rationale, right? Within that story that you just shared. It's like,
100%. Yeah. Dustin, anything else?
Nope.
That was good. Nope. Okay, perfect.
Complete sentence, man.
No period. Okay. Hopefully we've done a decent job of giving you some ideas and strategies and tactics for how to do this. It all hinges on, listen, there's no such thing as tough. You're trained or untrained. It's either weaponized or unweaponized. Weaponization is not about fighting. It's about the asymmetrical strategies, the unconventional strategies and tactics and tools for how you master the tool of violence and how you actually protect yourself, your family, your property, other innocent people from violent criminal assault. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of training. And hopefully we're shedding insight into that process. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. So that's where we'll wrap it up, everybody. Again, thank you as usual. Share, comment, like, anything. It helps support us and moves our cause forward. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Awaken the Protector Within. And we look forward to sharing more information on the weaponization process and helping everybody learn to defend themselves and family from violent criminal assault. So that's it. Stay safe, stay weaponized, everybody. We will chat again soon.